Hey everybody, welcome back to the staff room. My name is Dr. Matos, author of How Leaders Motivate Teachers in Real Classrooms, and I wanted to try something different today. Um, I was talking to one of my friends, and he was saying, like, a good idea would be to have a discussion about kind of real things and real feelings that teachers feel and that leaders feel and educators feel on the way to work. I always thought it was interesting because a lot of times that we tend to contact each other and then we'll have a discussion pre-work day. So I think I'm gonna call this one en route. And what I would like to do is just say exactly how I feel that day. And today I woke up and I was just thinking about some interactions that I had with some of my teachers, and I think one of the things that I really was wondering about is when the hell did teachers become criminal number one in the world? When the hell did teachers become America's most wanted? When the hell did education become the real issue in our country? I mean, I'm sure if we all put our heads together, we can figure it out. But let's be honest, our country has a culture problem. It has a values problem. I just I don't really understand it because I could trace back to when it all started, and it literally came from one comment being made, and then all of a sudden everybody has an experience, and the thing is that the experiences are outlandish, and for the sheer magnitude of people that are involved with the school system and the amount of families that have students in the school system, the the uh, the percentage of weird accusations that I get that I see online, and I try to keep up with the news as much as possible, is probably equivalent to like 0.6%. It's very weird. We've had a lot of school violence and things of that nature, but I could tell you a lot of every single problem that our school system is seeing can be traced directly back to a policy that was put in place primarily to save money. When did our kids become a bargaining chip? When did they become something that a tool that we use to for some politician to say, oh, we save the economy? Yeah, because you privatize all education. What do you think that's going to do? You think right now in the state that our economy's in, that we can just say, hey, every family has a parent that stays home and can homeschool their kid, regardless of homeschool being the absolute worst idea ever. I work with a lot of parents. They are not trying to teach kids. They can barely teach themselves. It's insane because at some point we became such self-absorbed people that we forget that the things that have always worked for us, the things that have propelled us to the forefront of the world's table, all of a sudden weren't good enough. All these other countries literally are just perfecting the things that they've been doing for years. And we just decide to reinvent the wheel because we can't take accountability. Parents can't say, "Oh, I really had trouble. I couldn't stay in my marriage for whatever reason." I'm not saying that abused people and people that are in situations need to stay in marriages, but trust me when I tell you, there's people that just can't come to an agreement, and the most of the times that's exactly what it is. We've popularized breakups, cheating, and infidelity and divorce. We've made that such a norm that we're not able to understand that marriage is it's not easy. It's hard work. You have to grow. You got to be strong enough to build a foundation. When did we become a country that just promotes the worst types of things and then takes probably one of the very few populations of professional people in the world and villainizes them. Why? Because they deserve more money? They do. Teachers and leaders go through more stress than almost any other field, probably top three, right along with firefighters and police officers. That's why when firefighters and police officers look a teacher in the eye, it's a very mutual respect because it's a selfless profession. I've been an athlete all my life, and I've wanted nothing more than to do so just so I can inspire people. So this is my chance to do so, as my life is coming to an end at some point. I've worked with kids and worked with families and given all of these people the best of me just for a group of people that have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea the importance of education and how interpersonal relationships matter, to tell me that that's not good enough. Teachers are working themselves into sickness. I've watched a teacher, I didn't watch her because she wouldn't turn her camera on, but she taught from her hospital bed. And then when she magically didn't show up for work one day, we find out she died. All because people want to point the finger because they don't want to take accountability for how we raise our kids. We raise our kids to be weak people, and that's not everybody. But I promise you, it's the majority. Why? Because if a child gets in trouble, it's everybody else's fault. Excuse me, my voice cracked a little bit. I'm not a yeller. When I go through my day every day, it's understanding that at some point I'm gonna have to turn on the TV and see that the things that we do and the passion that we put into our work all goes for nothing. Because in reality, the problem comes from the systems that we put in place to save money. I'm sorry, children should not be sitting in front of a computer at a 1-to-1 ratio. Not at grades K through 3 at the very least. They should be learning citizenship skills. They should be learning how to problem solve, how to fall in love with learning, innovation, how to be creative, how to think critically. But at some point, some politician came along and stuck No Child Left Behind in because they thought that pushing along all children is going to work in a space where process is more important than the result. When did we stop giving letter grades? I just don't get it. Students don't understand that every push of the pencil matters. And parents call in and they want their kids' grades, and they don't even know that some school districts don't even give grades because somebody sued because they were upset because their child failed gym, and then their child's out there pushing and throwing stuff at other people's kids. And then when you call that parent, they're not around. And if they end up popping in, it's somebody else's fault. Oh, well, what did you do? You should have did. What do you mean? The question is, what are you going to do? Because in reality, if a kid hits another kid and that other parent has taught that child to protect himself, I am all for allowing that child to defend himself against your child. Because your child's the problem. I have a news flash for all of you. Teachers don't do anything except for what they are told. And those instructions come from your politicians. We don't sit in class and teach LGBTQ content. The only thing we teach is that everybody has a right to have an opinion. We don't connect that to anything. We don't sit there and teach your kids that let me rewind this. Everything that you've heard on TV is a lie. It's created to push an agenda, and I realize agenda is a trigger word, but they don't. You guys have to understand that the agenda is just to make the rich rich. That's all it is. And how can I make sure that myself or the next person gets a seat in the government system? That's all it is. Teachers don't create their own lesson plans. Those come from the policymakers. Teachers don't create their own curriculums, not in public school. Those come from the policymakers. We're not allowed to use our own resources. Those come from the policymakers. The standards come from the policymakers. And now you want to give tests to kids in elementary grades? For what? They don't understand the importance of those tests. It's not the teacher's fault. So accountability is the word of the day. Who's going to say, you know what? This was our fault. We got to fix it. I promise you it's going to be a problem for a lot longer because everybody is at fault. Everybody. Stop using our kids as a bargaining chip to give yourself more money. And this goes to you fool policymakers who, let's be honest, when did we have the wife of Vince McMahon in a room with a 100 educators, all with PhDs, and be able to hold a conversation? The woman literally referred to AI as A1. Yet people are still buying the nonsense? Here's the thing. Homeschooling will never work. Will it work in some of those occasions? Yes. Why? Because there are some instances, probably between 5 and 10% of the families that can stay at home. Most families, I don't want to say most, there's a huge percentage of families that are single parent households, and that comes because we as a culture just don't value honor and relationships anymore. That comes from our media that's paraded around by the people, the elitists, right? So kids pick up on these things. We allow YouTube and social media to drive our kids' instruction and their learning so that they really have no idea what real life is. We have kids being violent. We have nobody being held accountable. And now we're sprinkling some accountability into our states, when I promise you it's all to drive an agenda. Teachers deserve everything that they get. They're literally the last group besides some police officers, some firefighters that care more about the people that they serve than themselves. I promise you, who is going to take the blame after teachers are gone? Because one thing is, you can't use a computer program to teach kids. We're seeing that with iReady. You can't do it. Kids don't have internal motivation yet. Every form of motivation in the child is external. But who's going to be to blame after that? You watch. It's going to be doctors and physicians, because they're going to want to use computers to do that too. Every population of people has somebody that's a bad person. It's just the way it works. It's human nature. I've been in and out of the hospital for a few years for a autoimmune disorder. I've seen more of a hospital than most people. I've seen more of our medical system than most people. I've literally had old people sit in beds in an emergency room next to me and die. And you could hear the nurses talking. I just didn't have time. And it's like, what I'm saying is that there's bad people everywhere. People are not, excuse me, people are not, certain groups of people are not just all great people. It's just the way it works. We gotta start using our heads. Teaching people to be critical thinkers and question the system is not a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when people start to question a system that has um, underlining agendas. Or it's only a problem when people start to question a system that has underlying corruption, or when people become informed enough to ask questions. Then it's a problem. Our school system is broken, but it's because the policies. It's not because the teachers that give their lives to your kids and are way underpaid for it. Way underpaid for most states. I promise you, they're way underpaid. It's not their fault because they don't even have control over the stuff they put out. Nobody's talking about the benchmark advanced system that has a literary chapter or a literary unit that only shows black people in same-sex households. It only shows black people as poor and getting kicked out of their house. It only shows black people as the whole family living in a single house because they couldn't afford another house. It's only showing black people in those light. Every other unit portrays conventional family dynamics. We don't talk about that. Don't let anybody talk about that. Anyway, I challenge all of you just to put your thinking caps on, like we like to say in education, because things don't make sense and you're allowing them not to make sense, all so that you can have an opinion about something that's not even real. It's really not. Teachers are here to try to help your children, and sometimes learning hurts. Sometimes learning involves you, the parent, and then the child looking in the mirror. Talk to you later.